Hey everyone, welcome to another daily cinephile vlog, and today I just thought I would share some thoughts on the recent Puss in Boots sequel, the long-awaited sequel, I guess, to the 2011 DreamWorks film, which of course was a spin-off from the Shrek series that itself had 4 films. So overall, I like the first Shrek movie. I think Shrek 2 is one of the funniest movies ever made. Shrek the third kind of went down a lot in quality. It's pretty tough to watch. And the fourth one, I often don't remember much about it. I know it was an improvement over the third film, but it felt more like, it felt like an apology for the third film. And it ended the series on a somewhat better note, but still, I've been waiting for a fifth film to come out. I think DreamWorks should definitely do it, given that the series has only gotten more popular in recent years. And now we have the new Puss in Boots movie. I never saw the 2011 film. I don't really know why I haven't gotten to it, but even now, when the new movie was coming out, I thought I would take the time to watch the first one before seeing the sequel, but I was hearing such good things about it, I figured, screw it, I'll just go see the sequel, and it is incredible. It is a great movie. This very quickly shot up into my top 10. What a year for animation in general. Is on the same level as Shrek 2. This is such an entertaining movie. Animation that, it's similar to the style of The Bad Guys, where you can tell a lot of companies are starting to take notes from that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film. And this one, it's the same kind of thing where it's 3D animation, computer animation, but it has a hand-drawn quality to it. Action scenes in this movie are great. Really good setups and really good way that the camera flows around. I know it's not a camera, but, our visual perspective of what's going on. They really take advantage of what it would be like for someone the size of Puss in Boots to be fighting others. It's also a very heartwarming story, honestly. It's a very funny movie. And it goes back to what the first Shrek did, where, there is straight up swearing in this movie. It doesn't go too hardcore, but it does take me back to that age of Shrek. But it doesn't have too many outdated jokes either. It doesn't try to do pop culture references or anything like that. But on top of the humor, it also has a very heartwarming story about Puss, his last life, and, he's got to conquer death. Literally, there's a character in this movie who is basically the personification of death. It is such a interesting character. I don't know if he's meant to be real. I don't know if he just calls himself Death. Maybe he actually is Death. But overall, who is sort of the, I guess, I don't know if it's the villain of the movie, but it's Puss's, that's hard to say. It's Puss's personal villain. And I think it makes for a really good personal journey for that character, and it's a character that I think we all fell in love with in Shrek 2, but, in this movie, it really adds a whole nother dimension to the character, about something that he fears, the idea of death, which isn't a kid's movie, but it's pulled off very well, and it never distracts from the humor. The movie stays funny throughout. There's a new character, which is the little dog, and he is a great addition to the cast. He is just this optimistic, bubbly personality, and actually there's also this map in the film which leads them to the last wish, and basically any of the characters that touch the map, the terrain of the dark forest which they're entering will change depending on whoever's touching it. So it's basically conquering your own fears or things that you have to face in life. Everybody kind of has their own personal battles that they need to face, and the map will change to that. However, when the dog touches it, it all becomes a very wonderful looking, what you would expect from a show that would be geared towards preschoolers. There's rainbows and flowers and bubbly everything, and that's what the dog gets. So they try to take the dog's path, but even that journey has some extra hurdles that the characters need to learn to overcome. So there's also this villain who's played by John Mulaney. I love John Mulaney. I didn't even realize it was his voice. I don't know why I couldn't tell right away that was his voice, but it's very clearly John Mulaney. Very funny. But unfortunately, I don't think the character design was all that great. I think that's maybe one complaint I have, is that the villain, I don't think he had the best looking character design. I know it's meant to be a little funny that it's this really large body with a tiny head, but to me it didn't really work with John Mulaney's voice. I think John Mulaney's a great uh, choice for the voice actor, but I just don't think that character design really fit it. And I think another complaint I have about it is that the movie never really stops talking. You know, the character, it moves a little too fast. I like that the movie doesn't overstay its welcome, but, you know, the characters are almost talking throughout the entire film, and at a certain point, I'm like, they're really trying to fit in all of this dialogue as quickly as possible. I don't want to say the movie never shuts up, because I was never annoyed by it, but I did feel that, we need to slow down here or there, and at one point the movie does slow down, especially when that death character shows up. The movie does slow down, and that's fantastic, but there's not enough of that. But in the meantime, we have Florence Pugh in a wonderfully designed Goldilocks character. They just call her Goldie in the film, and of course she's teamed up with the Three Bears. I thought they also had a very great story. You know, there's not too much of them in the film, but, you know, everybody's chasing this last wish for one reason or another, and, you know, you find out Goldie's reason for doing it. And it's a very obvious message, but the movie still does it very well. I think also because they make the mother bear, Olivia Colman, so, you know, endearing of a character. I mean, she's very supportive of Goldie, even when she finds out she may be trying to leave their family unit. And she's still supportive all the way, and I'm like, oh, that's just way too sweet. There's a couple times in this movie where I'm like, I was shocked that they were able to make it as sweet and as emotional as they did. And it leads to a finale that, that's another thing. The movie doesn't overstay its welcome, because the forest actually changes throughout the movie based on whichever character is holding the map, which is an awesome idea. We also get to a finale that, you know, in a way, it's kind of what you've seen before in other movies, but they throw some different stuff in there to make it so much more unique compared to other movies I've seen in animation, and for movies that are mainly geared at families. I think this does some different stuff. So, I mean, I had read somewhere that someone compared this movie to Logan, which I thought was an odd comparison, but after seeing the movie, I'm like, oh, I see it. I see why they said that. And while everybody's seen Avatar: The Way of Water, which is a good movie, make sure you give some love to Puss in Boots as well, because this is definitely worthy of seeing on the big screen.